Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the sensitization session on the AML risk assessment survey for this year.
Good morning.
Today,
Good morning.
we have the team with us who will be joining the session, or who are in the session, sorry. So, Dr. Tina Bill, as some persons should know by now, and I'll ask the other members of the team, starting with Alan, to introduce themselves.
Good morning, nice to see you. My name is Claudia Allen, as you would have known. I'm Director of the Inspectorate. I have with me Mr. Brown, the COO, and Mr. Marner, Inspector of AML, and Mrs. Kimberly Mackenzie Archer, along with Ms. Mingos. And we're going to walk you through the sensitization of the risk assessment, which you would have gotten two advisors pertaining to that, one in October and the latter one in November. So now we are about to walk you through what to expect. Just a brief, it should be very brief, hopefully. But I realize that we don't have a large complement online, but we'll provide some information in terms of guidance to those who were not able to make it.
And we'll be sharing the recording of the session as well as the PowerPoint slides. Okay, so we're also going to ask persons to mute their microphones when it is that they're in the meeting space. Thank you. So essentially what we're going through, basically a brief synopsis of the AML risk assessment survey, looking at what it entails, why it's necessary, what are the objectives, how will it be administered, as well as some pointed and specific guidance on completing the risk assessment survey itself. So what essentially does it entail? As any other survey, it's a series of questions. However, it's going to be programmed electronically. It consists of approximately 10 pages. However, depending on their responses to previous questions throughout the instrument. So essentially, the questions are geared towards obtaining feedback from dealers on how it is that they manage the AML risk associated with their clients, the real estate business transactions that they conduct, as well as their real estate business as a business operation or entity in and of itself. Now, why is the AML risk assessment survey necessary? So as you would be aware, there are certain international commitments that Jamaica have made, specifically with respect to the Financial Action Task Force to mitigate, manage, and minimize money laundering, proliferation, financing risk. And so it's mandatory that we conduct this AML risk assessment for the industry. So it's done not only for the real estate industry, it's also done for financial institutions and other designated non-financial institutions that fall within the ambit of the POCA and the TPA. So essentially, what are the objectives of the survey? Again, to examine the money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing risk associated with our local industry, as well as we need to ensure that we comply with what's set out in the POCA, the TPA, as well as whatever obligations it is that we need to meet with the Financial Action Task Force. Some of you may not be aware, but later this year, the fifth round of mutual evaluations will begin. Jamaica will essentially be reviewed for its money laundering or how it treats with money laundering, generally speaking. And so it's very critical and important that we have the risk assessment survey done, essentially to ensure that we remain off the grades. So how will the survey be administered? As I mentioned here previously, we're administering it electronically. Essentially, we're using job form to have it administered. So you'll get a link to the survey, and essentially, you click the link. You can do it all in one go, or you can stop, save, and continue at a later time. The survey itself, the administration of the survey is being managed by the firm Clark and Clayton, attorneys at law. On the first page of the instrument, you'll essentially have the contact details, such as their email address and telephone number, and who it is that you can direct your queries to. So I'm going to ask the individual who has their microphone on to mute at this time. Thank you. I'll continue. Still seeing where the person has not muted, but let me see if I can mute the person. Right. So as you know, the risk assessment survey is to be completed only by real estate dealers. As I had just mentioned to you, the first page of the instrument consists of an instruction page. Now, for the remainder of these slides, I'm going to go through some of those instructions in brief, but just to reinforce that it's very important that before you commence answering any question, any at all, that you read the instruction page, as it will give you guidance on how to complete the survey, depending on how it is you or the entity that you are representing has registered with the real estate board. So if it is we have an individual who is operating as a dealer, licensed in their individual name, and that individual also serves as the qualifying director for a dealer, which is a corporate body or entity. Once it is the individual is conducting real estate business transactions in both capacities, that is as the qualifying director for a corporate entity, as well as in their individual name outside of the corporate entity, then that individual has to complete the risk assessment survey twice. And the reason for that is because you have two different types of or sets of transactions going on in the two capacities in which you are licensed. In addition to that, some dealers / dealerships that are companies or corporate entities, they have more than one qualifying directors. Or before I even go to that, if an individual also is a qualifying director for more than one corporate entity or company, then the risk assessment survey has to be done in their capacity as the qualifying director for each corporate body or entity that they are a qualifying director for. So if you're a QD for company X and a QD for company Y, the risk assessment survey has to be completed on behalf of company X as well as on behalf of company Y. Also, if it is you have individuals who are licensed as real estate dealers in their individual name, and each individual on their license has a trading as name or is trading as the name of a firm that all dealers are a part of as a partnership, then each individual who is licensed as a dealer in their own name has to complete the risk assessment survey. So to make it a bit more clear, if I'm a dealer trading as 123 Realty, and Miss Allen is a dealer trading as 123 Realty, and she and I have joined to basically form the firm, the partnership 123 Realty, then I would have to complete the risk assessment survey, and Miss Allen would also have to complete the risk assessment survey. The reason for that is because based on how the registration has been done, the registration has been done for individuals separately. And so what that essentially means is that as individuals who are licensed in your own name, you can be conducting real estate transactions in your own name, albeit that Tina Bill and Claudia Allen came together and formed a real estate firm. So our partnership, sorry. So it has to be done that way to ensure that there is no AML risk to the sector that we are not aware of as regulators. Now, you also have situations where a dealer that's a corporate body or company has qualifying directors for different areas of real estate business. So using 123 Realty again as an example, but this time as a company. So 123 Realty is a dealer, that's a corporate body that's licensed with the real estate board. And 123 Realty has Tina Beal as the qualifying director for appraisals, and it has Ms. Allen as the qualifying director for property management. Now, in doing the risk assessment survey, only one qualifying director is to complete and submit the risk assessment survey. However, that one individual who is completing the risk assessment survey on behalf of 123 Realty must ensure that in answering the questions in the instrument, that the data that they're providing is for all the areas of real estate business services that 123 Realty provides. So what that essentially means is that if Ms. Allen is going to be completing the survey on behalf of 123 Realty, then she has to get the information from me with respect to appraisals to ensure that the complete information is being presented in the risk assessment, in response to the questions posed in the risk assessment survey. Oops, my apologies. There are also instances too where you have a dealer that's a corporate body or company which has more than one qualifying director for all the areas of real estate business service that the corporate body / company provides. So again, using 123 Realty as an example, let us say that I'm going to ask that person to mute for me, please. Let us say that, hypothetically speaking, 123 Realty is a dealer that's licensed in the area of sales, leases, and rentals, but it has Tina Beal, Claudia Allen, and Christopher Brown as 3 qualifying directors for 123 Realty. Only one individual is to complete the risk assessment survey on behalf of the corporate body / company. And that individual, depending on how it is the business arrangement has been set up or established, would be the managing qualifying director or the lead qualifying director, if you want to call the person, or give the person that title, on behalf of the corporate body or entity. So only one individual, one risk assessment survey would be needed in that regard. And essentially what the rules are getting at is that we have dealers who are individuals, we have dealers who are legal persons, corporate body / entity. Once it is you're an active dealer, we need the risk assessment survey to be completed for all dealers, whether the dealer is registered as an individual trading in their individual name, or whether the dealer is a corporate body / company. The questionnaire also makes mention of what is known as a review. There is somebody who needs to mute their microphone. The questionnaire also makes mention of a period of review or period under review. The period in particular that is being referred to, as shown on the instructions page of the instrument, is October 1, 2023 to September 30th, 2024. And so all the answers that you provide on the survey should be in association with that period of review or review period. So essentially, if it asks you what kind of transactions you conducted over the period, it's making reference to only those transactions conducted over that period of time. The instruction page does tell you, it does provide some key terms and definitions at the front, as well as when the key terms appear throughout the questionnaire or in the questions themselves, you will see that as you hover over the question, a definition is there to tell you or just to remind you of what it is. So some of these key terms which most persons should know already, for example, are what is a suspicious activity report, what is a suspicious transaction report. There are questions relating to the UN sanctions list, and it tells you the list of countries that are on the sanctions list. There are questions relating to high-risk AML jurisdictions, and as you hover over such questions, it provides you with the list of countries that are high-risk AML countries, or so designated by the FATF. There are also questions relating to countries that are on the blacklist and the gray list. And again, once you hover over those questions, you will see the list appear of those countries that are on the gray list and those countries that are on the blacklist. It speaks to, there are also questions which speaks to the UN sanctions list. And again, as you hover over such questions, you will see the list of countries that have been sanctioned by the United Nations or a foreign body. There are also questions too that have an other option. And generally, when you see a question with an other option, it does prompt you to specify what other means within the context of the question. You don't need to be alarmed in the sense that whatever it is that I'm saying to you here, it's on the first page of the instrument. And there's some information here in the slides that will be shared with you later today. Apart from that, the questions are pretty straightforward and direct. As I mentioned to you earlier in the presentation, it does allow you to stop, save, and continue. When that occurs, you will receive an email, which basically provides you with a link when it is that you choose to continue the instrument. You are also allowed to print your responses before submitting. So in printing it, you can print it as a hard copy, or it does allow you to save your responses to the questions as a PDF document on your device. The instrument itself is mobile friendly, so it can be done on your tablet, on your mobile device, or on your desktop. However, we are encouraging persons to use their desktop or their laptop to complete the instrument. Why? A lot of times, their Wi-Fi or data issues when using mobile devices, and so it's best that you are basically answering the questions in a stable or as stable of an environment as best as you can. And again, if it is that you have any technical challenges while carrying or answering the questions, you can reach out to the REB as well as to the firm that's managing the administration of the instrument. And here on this last page, you have the email address, the telephone number, and the point person that you are to reach out to at the managers of the survey or the administration of the survey. At this point in time, if there are any questions that persons might have, please use the raise your hand feature. Okay, Mr. Reed, you may go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Beal, just want to know if you are the QD of the firm and you also have your own license, but you're not doing any business with your own license, do you still have to complete 2 survey forms?
No, no. So if you're not practicing in your individual name, but you're the qualifying director for the firm, you only need to complete it as the qualifying director for the firm. And thanks for bringing that up. But it's also that point is also on the the first page, the information page for the instrument. And likewise too, if it is you have placed your individual license on dormancy, but you're the qualifying director for a company, then you are only to complete the instrument on behalf of the company.
Just to be clear,
Okay.
just to be clear, if you have your individual license active, but you're not doing any business under that license, only
Right, that's correct. That's
license,
correct. That's correct. Yes, that's correct.
you only need to do 1 survey.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Dr.
You're welcome. I'm also seeing where Mr. Johnson has his hand raised. You may go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Beal. Just wanted to clarify again, you mentioned if your license is on dormant, but you are a qualifying director, are we able to qualify a company while our license is on dormancy?
Can you just repeat that for me? I never got the last part of the question, Mr. Johnson. Can
you had just mentioned that if your license, individual license is in dormancy, and you are the qualifying director for an entity, ABC Realty or 123 Realty, you only need to complete the survey once.
Right.
I'm just asking whether or not we are now allowed to have our license in dormancy in order to qualify a company.
In the registration.
Right. So Mr. Johnson, it's the registration of the individual that qualifies the company, not the license. So once it is that you are registered as a dealer on the register of dealers, you can qualify the company.
Okay, so we can revert to putting our license, individual license in dormancy, but yes, it'll be the QD now for an entity.
Right, that's correct.
Based on the registration.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
I'm seeing there's another hand. The initials is it Caroline Stillburn?
Correct.
Okay, you may go ahead.
Yes, thank you. If you're a dealer, if you're a broker associate, does this meeting applies?
So it applies once it is that you are conducting transactions outside of the dealership that you are employed to. Because as a dealer in your own right, you can conduct transactions.
So
and as a broker associate, your license will be active. So yes, that's correct.
So it's a broker associate. I don't do anything as a dealer. It's like
no.
I'm
as a broker associate. So okay, so when you say broker associate, you're saying that you are a dealer who is licensed with the real estate board. That's correct.
Yes, correct. Well, let me just finish. So yes, I'm a dealer licensed with the real estate board, but I've never operated on my own. I operate. I'm attached to another dealer as an associate.
So they're not attached. So the technical term is not attached. You are employed to another dealer. So you are employed in the office of another dealer.
No, I'm not. I'm a realtor associate. So independent contractor.
But
okay.
Just to interject.
So when we say employed, we're talking about even persons on independent who are independent contractors.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So,
good.
so okay. So yes, you are to complete the questionnaire.
Yeah.
What it does, as I mentioned to you before, depending on your responses, some persons will have more questions than others. So yes, you are to complete it, but you might not see the same questions that the qualifying director where you are or the dealer to whom you are working with will see. Okay. But yes, you are to complete it.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Allen also wanted to make a point as well.
Because it was actually the same thing.
Okay.
Once you're issued a license, you have a dealer number and you have an active license, you are supposed to be even, you refer to yourself as realtor associate. That's not what is on the license. What we use to qualify who does a risk assessment. So once you're issued a license, based on when you're going through the risk assessment, it will determine where you fall, but it has to be done.
I'm seeing where Remax. There's someone in the meeting with the name Remax, which has their hand up.
Hi, morning.
Hi, morning.
Marcel here.
Hi,
Dr.
Mr.
Bill,
Dawkins. Yes, Mr.
quick
Dawkins.
question.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there any specific reason why there is an external attorney managing the process of this survey?
I don't understand the
I'm trying to
question.
understand the question.
No, we're just asking if there's a specific reason why Clayton Clark and Company is managing the survey
It's a
specifically.
decision by the real estate board, so that's the reason.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Cook, I'm also seeing where you have raised your hand. You may go ahead.
Good day. You had mentioned earlier a dealer practicing as a qualifying dealer for a company as well as individually.
We're not really hearing you as clearly. Can you repeat what you said for me, Miss Cole? We're not here.
Yes.
We never heard the first part.
Let me see if my I need to turn up my volume a little more. Are you hearing me any clearer?
Yes, we're hearing you better now. Yes, you may go ahead.
Yes. So you mentioned earlier about a dealer practicing as a qualifying dealer with a company as well as practicing individually. And that in such instance, that person also needs to do two separate risk assessments.
Right, that's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, Miss Vickers Mullins, I saw your message in the chat, but just to know that it's later today that we'll be sending out the link to the instrument. So you would not have received, you wouldn't have seen it as yet. I also think the gentleman who has his camera on raised his hand or indicated that he wanted to ask a question. Mr. Berry? Mr. Berry, you wanted to ask a question?
You're muted,
You're
Mr.
fine. Let
Berry.
me see if I can unmute him. No. Mr. Berry, you're muted. You have to unmute.
You can hear me now?
Yes, hearing you clearly.
Yes, this survey that you're talking about, it's a one-off survey that is done just one time now, or is it something that is done annually? What's the frequency of this, or is it a one-time thing?
Well, Mr. Berry, as you'd have known, you'd have done one from 2019. So really and truly, it should have been an annual survey or every 2 years. So it is something
Okay.
that we're called upon to do again. I'm not sure if we'll be doing one next year, but if it is needed, we'll inform you.
Okay,
Just to add to this,
thank you.
the survey is part of a national risk assessment survey. So we have some legal obligations where all the different DNFIs has to do this with their the competent authority. So the real estate dealers is the one doing this particular survey through the administration of the real estate board to feed into that greater NRA that is required.
All right, Mr. Berry, that you heard that last part? You're muted, Mr. Berry.
Yes,
You heard that last part? Okay, good.
yes, sorry.
Mr. Reed, I saw where you raised your hand again.
Yes, just wanted to ask what is the deadline for this survey?
Okay, good question. Thank you. So dealers will be given until the 14th of February to submit.
That's a short time, eh?
Mr. Reed,
4 weeks, Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed, it is not as lengthy as the one that you did in 2019. When we actually walk through the document, it can take you 45 minutes to maximum to complete. So
Okay.
the one in 2019, we had asked for specific areas of practice and the volume of transactions and all of those things. It's not so concentrated in that. So I don't think you'll take that much time.
Well, thank you for that. I thought it was the same scope as the last one.
No, because that was I think almost 5 years of data that we were trying to collect.
I remember, but this is essentially 1 year. October 1, 2023 to September 30, 2024. Okay, so Lovetta
Nielsen.
Lovetta has her hand up.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hi,
Good morning.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Thanks and same to you.
Thank you. My question is, I noticed you mentioned earlier that the hard copies, when you've completed the forms, you're to print and submit. Can they also be submitted as soft copies to Clayton Clark and Associates?
No, it's not to be printed.
No, when we say print, it's print for your personal
Right.
records, not to print and submit to us. So it's to be submitted electronically. So when you come to the end of it, you see a button that says submit. You just can submit.
Oh, I see.
But
So we can
print it
complete it
print it.
electronically. So
Right.
we complete it electronically and submit it electronically.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Say Kessler, your hand is also raised.
Unmute. We're not
Mr.
hearing you.
Kessler, you need to unmute. We're not hearing you. All right, so Mr. Reed, I'm still seeing where, no, Donovan, Hayden, sorry. Mr. Hayden, we'll move on to Mr. Hayden and see if we can get Ms. Kessler later. Mr. Hayden, you may go ahead.
Thanks, Tina. Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Just some clarity, Tina. If you are registered as a dealer, not practicing individually, but you're also the qualifying director for a company, do you have to do for the dealer not practicing as a dealer but registered as well?
Is the dealer license in the individual name on dormancy or is it active?
No, it's not on dormancy. It's not dormant.
Right, so yeah, you need to complete it. But as I said to you before, when you're doing it in that instance, so when you go on, you'll see a question which asks you some pointed things with respect to what you just asked. And then
Yeah.
when you indicate in the individual capacity and not practicing, it will redirect you to somewhere that you would not have seen if you were filling it out as a qualifying director for a company.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Kessler, going back to you, your hand is still raised, but you're muted. And you're still muted. Okay, Ms. Kessler, you may go ahead, but you're muted.
Sure, what is happening?
We have a Charmaine who has raised their hand. You may go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. If you
How are you?
became a dealer after the period of assessment, are you still required to complete the form? And I'm not a qualifying director, I'm an individual that is attached to a dealership. So I don't practice in any other capacity, but would
Right.
I still be required to complete it?
So if you became a dealer after the review period, no, you would not be required to complete it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Remax. May go ahead.
You said the review period is from 2023 to 2024?
From October 1, 2023 to September 30th, 2024.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Charmaine, you raised your hand again. You may go ahead.
Sorry, I need to take it down.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so if there are no further questions that anybody has, or I'm seeing a question in the chat. 1 second. If you are a dealer registered under a company as a realtor associate and has had no transaction for the past 3 years, do you still have to fill up the forms? Yes, Miss Bissett, you need to complete the form. We're not going to know that you would not have had any transactions, but the form provides an opportunity for you to provide that information. Right, so if it is that there are no further questions, I'm not seeing anybody hand raised, or I'm not seeing another question came in the chat. Right, so Ms. Kessler, as I mentioned earlier, if it is that there is any difficulty while completing the form, the first page, information page, does provide you with the email address, the telephone number for the firm that is managing the administration of the instrument. And I mean, you can always reach out to us at the real estate board as well. It's right here on the slides too that will be disseminated to the dealers later today. So yes, Ms. Levy, the meeting is being recorded. So, and it will be shared as well with the slides. So, okay, so question from Mr. Tuit in terms of where do you access the form? The form will be disseminated to you later today via a link So in that correspondence from us later today, you'll get the link to the form. You'll also get the slides as well as the recording, a link to the recording for this session. Okay. Okay, so if there are no, okay, Ms. Coke, one more
Yes,
question.
so one of our colleagues who has been trying to get on but didn't is asking if they started last year as a new broker, do they still need to do this assessment? Mid-last.
Miss Coke, it depends on when it is they became registered as a dealer. Once it is they were registered over the period from, but if they fall within the period of the review. So once it is they were registered as
mid-last year, oh, and the period is from October to September.
It's from October 2023 to September 30th, 2024. So once they were licensed any at all during that period, they have to complete the risk assessment.
Okay.
So mid last year, 2024, that is, yes, they would have to, yes, they would have to do this.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so essentially, we would have gone through what it is that we want to sensitize you about. I mean, if there are any questions at all, just send myself, Miss Allen, Mr. Brown, an email as per usual, as well as you can reach out to Mr. Ramon Clayton specifically of Clark and Clayton, and his email address as shown there is r.clayton@clarkclayton.com. And if you're experiencing any technical difficulties as well, you can reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you. And just a reminder, the deadline, February 14th. So essentially, dealers are given 4 weeks in which to complete. And as was the case in 2019, when it is that the results have been compiled and analyzed, the information will be shared with the industry on how it is that we are all managing or the AML risk exposure for the industry. And following the completion of the analysis, you will also receive information, written information on what is the rating for you as a dealer, whether you're practicing in your individual name or if it is that you are practicing as through a company as its policy. So, licensees, that's essentially it for today. The information has been disseminated. Please feel free to contact us so that we can clarify any issues or questions that you may have. So do have a good rest of the day and thank you for your time. It's really appreciated.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.
All the best for the new year to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care and a wonderful year ahead.
Thank you.
All the best to everyone.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks and bye everyone. Bye.
Hi Tina. Hi all. Remember to send the recordings and all. I'd never got my Steam Christmas pudding, but that's fine. But you can still send the recordings.
Okay, Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Roger, you love your belly too much.
My doctor warned me about it yesterday. So it's prophetic.
You love your belly too much, Roger. No steam pudding for you.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Yes,
I'll give
very
you a
good
rice
presentation.
cake.
Yes. So yes, send the thing, and I suggest too, if not done that, you also send a reminder to some persons who have asked, just reminding them how to get in, what the platform looks like, how to maneuver, because these are some of the questions the members ask, you know, so that would be good as well. All right, blessings,
Okay.
take care.
Okay, thanks, and same to you.
Yes, good.
All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.